So Meghan's second episode has dropped on her podcast, and of course, shocker, she is talking about herself again. And so I'm going to discuss this because I want to ask all of you, and drop it in the comments when you finish watching this video, what you really think is going on. Do you believe her? And I'm also asking anyone out there, if you're watching this and you are someone that does believe her, please drop it in the comments and let me know why, because I think that this is now, in my opinion, getting out of control. So if you want to join me in this video where my name is Ems, I'm a qualified UK therapist, and I discuss all of the tips and tools and knowledge that I've learned over the years, especially in studying narcissism. And I hopefully give some of that back to you so you can help navigate what's going on in your life. I do use celebrity behaviour to showcase what I'm talking about, but as always, please do your own research. This is not therapy and shouldn't replace therapy. If you are in need of that or something you struggle with it's coming up whilst watching these videos, the first thing is please switch off. Your mental health is more important. That being said, well, if you're sticking around, then don't forget to stick your finger on that like button and press. And also subscribe if you don't want to miss future uploads from myself. Well, I guess it's time for what you're here for, and that is grab your cuppa, relax, and let's get into this video. So if you made it this far, or you've skipped the intro, welcome to the channel. Welcome back to those of you who stuck with me for some time or since the beginning, and also to the new people that have joined along the way. I hope these videos continue to not just inform you, but also entertain you, because as I always say, I'm not a therapist 24/7, and sometimes you do get my personal opinions, which will differ from the professional. So let's start with the second episode of the podcast. So of course it's dropped. And she, this woman is, I feel that the more, okay, so just breathe for a second, Emma. When you leave narcissists to their own devices, when you either ignore or there's no consequences, this is the result of that. So Meghan, in my opinion, believing that she can pretty much get away with whatever she wants. She can lie about whatever she wants. And bear in mind, she's, in my opinion, carefully discussing things that are very difficult to refute. When it comes to mental health, when it comes to things like where she's talking about miscarriage. And I also, like I say, I have the utmost sympathy and empathy for anyone who has suffered a miscarriage or any form of loss of a child. Well over 20 years that I have been in this field. For the 20 years I have been working in this field, I have worked with numerous women who have gone through a miscarriage, some more than one. And I can honestly say, from my knowledge, that not one of them has ever thought, I'm going to publish my story, I'm going to, or actually they're not in the mainstream media, but the equivalent of put it all over Facebook, change the story multiple times, unless, in my opinion, they want attention for that. Now, I'm not saying that women don't have the right to tell their story. Of course they do. But the way that she's done this is, in my opinion, highly unusual for a general person to want to discuss. It's a very private thing. It's a very sad and upsetting thing. I absolutely believe that there's no way that we should hide from that, and there's no shame involved in that, although some women do feel that way. But the fact that Meghan decided to write in the New York Times about this experience, bearing in mind that no one knew about it. The way narcissists behave is that they will want the attention on them. So if this had happened, and again, I say allegedly, she would have spoken about it at the time. Given her personality type, she would have absolutely spoken about it at the time, and she would have made it about her. She didn't. And in fact, nothing was ever said, even remotely hinting to the fact that this happened. So the fact that then this come out in the New York Times, to me, this is again something that is very difficult to refute, because it's very difficult to come up and say, you're lying about something like this, because how do you prove it unless you're going to drag the person to the doctors and say, right, prove to me, show me the doctor. Nobody ever does that. So in my opinion, she's carefully picking things. Hot flush. Do you know what? I really think that Meghan and Harry bring me out in hot flushes. The amount of times when I do a video, I have a hot flush and I have to edit it out because I don't always want to, every video it's like, oh, you'd be like, oh, for God's sake, hot flush again. So she's carefully picking things that are really difficult to refute. Because as I say, it's very, like when she talks about the wanting to unalive herself whilst being 5-6 months allegedly pregnant. And again, the media didn't call her out for this because they're not going to. You're not going to say, well, I don't believe you, or how come you wanted to do this when you were this far along in your pregnancy? And the reason being, is one, because I think she's still attached to the royal family. So I think that she is getting away with some things because she still has that attachment to the royal family. So I think out of respect for the family, they're not calling her out on too many things. But also, they know how litigious Harry and Meghan are. So even though you might think, like I think, and I have to say allegedly, I don't know 100% sure that this did not happen, but I can pretty much say, given my knowledge of narcissism and the personality type that I think Meghan is, I can pretty much say 99.9% I am sure that this did not happen, given the way that she is behaving around the situation within itself. But the media are not able to do that. They don't have that luxury the same as I might have with social media. Now, I still have to be careful, but again, it's something that they don't want to risk the potential. If there's that slight percentage that they might think, well, maybe it did happen, we're not going to call her out. So this is why she gets away with it, in my opinion, because she is choosing mental health. And that, above everything else, is what angers me the most about her. Because there are women and men who have suffered deeply when it comes to mental health. There is men and women that have suffered around miscarriage, because as much as, yes, the woman goes through this, their partner is also going to go through this. And a lot of the time, especially, the focus is on the woman. And of course, absolutely, it's her body. This is a huge thing to happen. But a lot of the time, men get sidelined because of how this can affect them, and because a lot of the time they need to be strong for their partner. And so again, when she talks about this, she doesn't talk about how Harry felt. I mean, and again, I'm saying allegedly, if we're going to discuss this as if this really happened, this is about her. She doesn't discuss how Harry felt losing what would have been his first child. That's irrelevant, because Meghan has to make it about her. Meghan has to be the victim here. And as I say, the media, I wish the media would just not say anything. Rather than thinking, you know what, let's print this, even if we believe it's possibly not true, let's not say anything. And of course, we've had Princess Catherine coming out with a video. And again, this is something that's so beautiful and shows what the real royal family are doing with their time. They're focusing on other people. They're not focusing on themselves. And Meghan has to do everything. And it's every day. It's every day. And I can't understand how the royal family are not, I mean, I know it's very difficult, and I understand that perhaps for them, they're feeling as if we'll just let her get on with it. Because in all fairness, we are seeing her unravel, in my opinion. She is so desperate for this attention that she craves, that she's literally doing something every single day. But what angers me and frustrates me is that she's still using the titles to do it. And I'm going to get to the situation, the whole thing with what she posted on her Instagram. If she was not connected to the royal family, she would be in the same situation that she was when she was in Suits. Nobody would know about her. But this situation with her podcast, she brought this woman on, and I'm going to read obviously what was being said about it. So And again, just want to say that again, this is what the media puts out there. So I'm just going to put this post up here, and this is where I got the article from, and there's other articles as well, but this is pretty much the main one. Meghan Markle has opened up about her miscarriage and having to let go of something you love in her latest podcast episode. In the second episode of her new series, Confessions of a Female Narcissist, I'm not going to read her title, chats to American lawyer and politician, no, apologies if I get the name wrong, Reshma Suwajani, I'm not sure. I'm going to put the name up here anyway. Who set up the non-profit organisation Girls Who Code, which aims to increase the number of girls in computer science and Mums First. During the chat, Meghan asks her about her experience of miscarriage while setting up and running Girls Who Code. Now, I firstly thought that one of the main reasons that Meghan had these people on was to take ideas. And I generally do feel that there's an element of that, because Meghan has no talent. She has no interest in actually working. So what she wants to do, in my opinion, is that she'll look at an idea and run with it and take it as her own. Something that's already established and set up, she'll be like, that's successful, so I can do that. But what I'm also thinking as well is this is a continuation from Archetypes. So if you remember back in Archetypes, when she was having people on to talk about their experiences, she ended up doing the same thing, talking about herself. And a lot of that, I felt that she was airing a lot of the issues in regards to the royal family, things that were put out in the media about her. She was using Archetypes to change the narrative. Well, we have the second episode, and already, how is this? I mean, okay, I understand that this lady suffered a miscarriage, but I'm thinking that perhaps Meghan is finding out. We know that Meghan researches. So it's interesting that she has taken people that not many people know about. And so what I guess and what I believe is that she's researching these people. So she's looking at things that she wants to discuss, and then she's researching people that can align with that so she can bring that into the conversation. It is not a coincidence that this woman was brought in because of her suffering a miscarriage. And I hate to say that this woman was used for this, but I absolutely do believe, allegedly, in my opinion, that this happened. I think that Meghan found someone that was like, okay, she suffered with this. And it's awful, the fact that I know that I'm saying this, and even as I'm saying it, this is so horrendous and awful. But people need to realise how terrible a narcissist will behave. They will do absolutely anything and everything, even if it's unlawful, illegal, and if they can get away with it. They will push the boundary of anything if they can get away with it. And the problem with narcissism, like I say, a lot of the time, it's really hard to refute, because they carefully do things where you're sort of gaslit to such a point where you're almost second guessing yourself. That's why if you are dealing with a narcissist, it is so important to know who you are, because that way then they cannot gaslight you, because you know and you are sure that whatever they're doing, you know is wrong. You know that didn't happen. They are master manipulators. And this is another reason why I think Meghan is incredibly dangerous, given the position she now holds. And so I think that she used this woman, and like I say, I hate to say this, but I do absolutely believe this is true, because again, she brings it. In the first episode, we have her going through what she went through and taking away the postpartum eclampsia that she allegedly had. So in the first episode, we have that. So the victim narrative there of taking the story away from this Whitney, who was there to be interviewed, in a sense, to have a chat with. It was not about her, it was about Meghan. We have the same thing again. So the second episode, Meghan is now talking about going through a miscarriage. And this woman is talking, and so instead of, again, creating it to be about her and her business, it was nothing to do with that. She literally brought her on so she could then talk about this to create the victim narrative to get in the media again. What I am pleased about is that the article did focus more on Reshma rather than Meghan. I mean, we've all heard Meghan's 3 different versions. So yes, it goes on to say Meghan also suffered a miscarriage, revealing her heartbreaking ordeal in an essay, and it was an essay, in 2020, a year after the boy was born. Because again, I'm not going to... So, do you know, this angers me so much. Prince Harry also wrote about it in his book. But again, a different version. Meghan told her guest, "I have spoken about a miscarriage we experienced, and I think in some parallel way, when you have to learn to detach from the thing that you have loved so much, promise and hope for, and to be able to be okay at a certain point, to let something go that you plan to love for a long time." I mean, look, okay, I get it, and I know that a lot of women feel this way, but the fact that she's using this, I feel so angry on a personal and professional level. And Reshma added, "Yeah, I feel like you are reading my diaries." But again, it's sycophantic towards Meghan. It's rather than it's like, this is my experience, this is how I saw this, or what I went through. It's almost as if there's this list of what you have to do to be able to be in the same room as her. Because she goes, I feel like you're reading my diaries, as that's really insightful, as I don't think anyone has said it that way for me. But of course they have. Of course they have. It's like Meghan acts as if she's the only person that's ever gone through something, and the only one that ever says something that could be slightly insightful. A lot of women say this. But that's right, because here I was, and this is obviously then she talks about her experience for so many years trying to get pregnant, having autoimmune issues, and I got into this kind of scary habit where I'd be in a doctor's office and they'd be like, "You have no heartbeat." And I mean, and that is so deeply tragic that I think anyone's experience is very difficult to put into words, their own experience. Everyone feels differently, because it is what they're going through, and their partner as well at the time. And I think the fact that she was able to talk about it, I think is really lovely. And that's the only thing I will say, is that at least in a way, having this podcast, it's given her the space to talk about her experience. But again, Meghan brings it back to herself. So she talks about how she goes home and she wants to curl up with her husband, but then she had to work. And again, I wonder what Meghan is sitting here thinking as this woman is talking about her lived experience. The fact that Meghan knows that she's being dishonest. She cannot relate to this woman in any shape or form. And here she is talking about how she went through this heartbreak and she had to carry on working. When you have Meghan, who's if you're going to even look at this as being true, if she had have gone through this, she would have had the luxury to being a member of the royal family to take as much time as she needed to recover. There was not this, you would have to, even though she would explain it that way, of, well, she had to go out and work. Remember when she spoke about wanting to unalive herself, and she had to go out to go out to this Cirque du Soleil, and you saw the pictures of her grinning, where in her version, she was, every time the lights went down, she was sobbing. And yet, whenever we saw her in the pictures, her makeup looked flawless. There was no evidence of her sobbing. And she wouldn't have had to do that anyway. She could have quite easily said, "I'm not going to go." There is absolutely no way any member of the royal family would have said, "Well, you're going through something really traumatic right now, but you have to go and work." That's how Meghan would describe it, because she wants everyone to believe that the royal family are just this archaic dictatorship almost. But that's not true at all. We've only got to look at how the Princess of Wales going through what she just went through, and she was able to take about a year off. But this is what Meghan is now doing. This is now a podcast that is literally going to be about her. She's just brought women on as a secondary thing to have a, because for her, it's like she probably thinks, well, I can't go on my Instagram and talk about it. So let's use my podcast like I did in Archetypes and talk about myself. So Meghan explains, oh my gosh, I love being a mum so much. It's my favourite thing. Meghan, if this was your favourite thing, we would not be watching the way you are with these two children. I'm not sure whose children these are, but the fact is these children never go on holiday. There is never any pictures of them with their friends. There is never any footage whatsoever of them living a normal life. There is not any footage of, say, Meghan out and about shopping and with Harry, them out with a family, going to school, back from school, going to a drive-through. There's just nothing. Going to a park, going to anywhere. These children do not have a normal life. It's all this secrecy. And what you're doing there, and I've said this before, if there are children there, and I'm going to say a big if, so everything is a mystery. Everything is playing with the media, playing with the public, and that creates a dangerous situation. But Meghan stating that she loves being a mum, well, if you love being a mum, why are you creating this terrible illusion when it comes to children? Because what that could do with paparazzi, because people are going to want to know what these children look like. The Prince and Princess of Wales did it correctly, where they show the children, we see them out and about as normal, acting like a normal family, they've gone on holiday. And so because of that, there is no obsessive interest, because we know. Meghan knows that this is what's happening. And so this shows you that she does not care about children. If these children were really there and really hers and Harry's, any situation where the royal children were coming out and about, she would be using them to try to upstage them. The fact that we don't have that, to me, speaks volumes. So this situation where she's saying, I love being a mum, is my favourite thing. No, it's not. No, it's not. And then she goes on to talk about herself again, where she's, well, sometimes you're like, I just need a break. I just need a minute. And then the second you step in the other room, I'm like, let me scroll through pictures of them endlessly on my phone. And again, her actions, the way she describes things, this is not how generally a parent works. Firstly, I would never say publicly, I wanted a break from my children, because on the public forum, that could hurt them. And so this, again, what she says doesn't match being a mum and how much you love being a mum. You might talk about it in private to your friends, but you would not put something out. That's the equivalent of me putting out a video and saying, you know what, I love my children, but oh my goodness, I can't wait to have a break from them. Just would never happen. Because I know as a mum, I would never want to do something. And all right, as an adult, which my two are adults now, they might be like, yeah, I get it, mum. But her alleged children are young. And at some point, they're going to potentially listen to this and be like, so when we were young, you were kind of wanting a break from us. And they might perceive that as something that's quite hurtful. So this shows, again, that she doesn't know how to be a parent. And even when I did say when they were younger, there were times when it was quite overwhelming being a single mum. And I will fully admit that now they're adults. There is not, on the odd occasion that I got a break, I did not sit scrolling through photographs of my children. Firstly, because there are photos. This shows you that this is dishonest, because there were photos in my home everywhere of my children, young children, whereas they weren't on my phone. Generally speaking, most people who have a home have photographs of their children, so they don't need to be scrolling through their phone. But also, I would, I don't know, read a book or sit in the garden with a cup of tea or catch up with a friend or something. I just would not sit and be scrolling through my phone, looking at or staring at pictures of my children in my home. Why has she not got pictures in her home then? Why does she feel the need to scroll through her phone? Again, because she's lying, in my opinion. And then she says, and my husband is like, my love. Who talks like that? Who talks like this? This is she lives in a fantasy. She is a fantasist. Firstly, she again says my husband, not Harry. Pretty much, in my opinion, most people who are married use their husband's name when talking about them because most people know, but she doesn't. She says my husband. There's an ownership there where she's concerned. My husband is like, my love, can you just give yourself a minute? Why don't you go work out or take a bath? So hang on a minute. She's sitting down looking through her phone at apparently pictures of her children. Well, that's sitting down. That's taking a minute. That's resting, if you want to look at it that way. But according to her husband, that's not. She should go and have a bath. She should go and work out. Are you for real? Are you actually for real? So you want to take a break and you're just sitting down for 5 minutes looking through your phone. How does Harry know what you're looking at? You're on your phone. So how does Harry know what you're looking at pictures of your children? For all he knows, you're just sitting on your phone doing something. You could be playing Wordle or something. I mean, let's face it, she talks about how much she likes Wordle at some point. So she could be doing that. She just could be chilling. But apparently Harry walks in and says, no, go take a bath. Go work out. And I go, I know, but I just want to cuddle them. Well, go cuddle them then. Go cuddle them. Honestly, are you, again, this is just not how parents, she does this prove, I just need to take a minute, I'm getting ranty. Therapist hat fully off right now. So this is not how, you don't say, I want to cuddle my children. You just go cuddle them. If your children are there, you don't sit there. And your husband comes in and says, no, stop looking on your phone. Go take a bath. Go work out. And she's like, yes, but I just want to cuddle my children. Well, go cuddle them then. Nothing she says makes sense. Nothing she says illustrates that she's a parent. I'm having a hot flush again. I'm getting so stressed out. So then she says, it is the parenting paradigm where it's so full on, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Yeah, because every working mum, working parent, because I'm going to include single fathers in there as well, who have to work, who don't have the luxury of sitting in a $1 million mansion with having potential. I mean, not that I think they're in that mansion anyway, and then I've done videos to prove that. But the way that she's depicting this is that she's so relatable. Firstly, she goes on more holidays than anyone that I know. She gets to do whatever she wants more than anyone I know. Being a single parent, I didn't get this luxury. This is not a parenting paradigm. Firstly, you have, I'm going to say all allegedly, a husband that lives with you. You have your mum that seems to be around sometimes. You possibly have staff, unless they all left, because that's possible too. But you also have money. It's not the same. And this parenting paradigm, yes, being a parent is full on for some people. Especially, like I say, for any parent that's perhaps finding it challenging or overwhelming, of course, and you wouldn't trade it for anything. But we don't do what she just said, where firstly, she doesn't work, so she has all this time on her hands to do whatever, so she's not overwhelmed. It's like she's not doing anything. It's just farcical. It's just farcical, and I just can't even. Anyway, so just to come down from that moment to then go on to the next one, and I apologize, this is a longer video again, but of course, then speaking of her love of parenting and how she always loves to just be with her children, but here she is going to a show, and I do you know what, I had to laugh at this, and she uses a three car convoy to go to a theatre show. She hired an unmarked New York Police Department car, hired 2 Secret Service agents, had security, and yet what was funny was that she was able to sit in the audience and no one knew who she was. No, even though her big grand entrance, no one cared. And this, when you've got Harry who's talking about Travelist and being eco-friendly, these two constantly take private jets, and now she's taking gas-guzzling SUVs through New York to a theatre show that's been running since 2024 November, but she chose to go now. And that's funny, isn't it, that she seems to try to overshadow everything that Harry does, everything the royal family. So we have the royal family, the king and queen were in Italy, and they were doing a 4-day tour of around Italy, and just like I say, actually being royals, working. Then we had Harry attempt to take the shine away with his court case, and then hopping over to Ukraine, but don't worry about security. And then we have Meghan, in my opinion, trying to overshadow Harry, as well as potentially the royal family as well, because she's got to make it about her. So she turns up at this theatre that, like I say, has been running since 2024. No specific reason. She just decides to go. And so, of course, because she takes this 3-car convoy, it's in the media, because again, the media would have been called. And because she's sitting in the audience, no one knew who she was. And so then she decides that she needs to go and speak to them backstage. And so she makes this whole big thing about, oh my gosh, and then having people go, oh my gosh, Meghan's here, oh my gosh, and how amazing it is, and shaking hands and acting as if she's really important. And of course it gets in the media, and of course it overshadows what's going on for everybody else, because this is what the media do. But she's slammed for it, which I'm really pleased about. There were so many articles that she's been slammed for her podcast, she's been slammed for her Netflix show, she's been slammed for the fact that she takes 3 gas-guzzling SUVs and an unmarked police car to go and see a theatre show. But everything that she does shows you that she's not an A-lister, as much as she wants to believe that she is. Because A-list celebrities want to go incognito. They want to hide. They would go to a show and they would sit in the audience and no one would know they were there, because they would either go in disguise or they would just be very discreet, and most people would just leave them alone. Not Meghan. Meghan craves attention. So she'll call up Backgrid or TMZ or whoever it is. This is what Meghan wants. She's going to create situations that give her this grandiose sense of her ego. This is what all of this is about. But what angers me and what I don't understand, and maybe Americans can let me know, why was she allowed? Because it says that because the paparazzi called her out. And I think when paparazzi start calling you out, when this is about money for them, that's a problem. Even they were stating it's over the top, it's ego, it's just ridiculous how she's behaving. But the biggest thing for me, which is in small writing, which I found, I'm going to put it up here, was that they also state she ran red lights. Now, in my opinion, one, who's paying for this hiring of a New York unmarked police car? But the biggest takeaway for me is, how is she allowed to do this? Because I assume that only 2 are, if it's a state visit from or the president, and a state visit, and it's something very urgent, or the president's kind of coming through, so to speak, and everything's kind of out of the way, or ambulances and police emergency services. So those are the 2 things. So emergency services and the president and first lady, and if it's a state visit and it's something incredibly important. I mean, maybe if the king and queen or the prince and princess of Wales were over there, maybe that would be the situation, maybe because they're working royals and it would be an official visit. But I'm not even sure even if that's the case. How is she, when she's not a working royal, how is she allowed to run red lights? How is there not outrage about this? Because again, I haven't seen the media. I've seen this particular article, but I haven't seen anywhere else that Meghan ran a red light in New York City. And that is crazy to me. That's dangerous. And this, but again, this shows you the level of ego with this woman. She's happy to put people, inconvenience people, to put people in potential danger, to go to a theatre visit that she didn't need to go to. So this whole thing, oh, I love being with my children. Well, you're happy to leave them consistently. But how is this allowed? And I'd really be interested in the comments because I know a lot of you obviously live in America. How is this allowed? How is there not outrage? Because in my opinion, if I was you, I would be writing to the New York Police Department. I would be writing to your president even. I don't know who you would write to over there, but this is outrageous if she's allowed to run a red light. That's crazy to me. But yeah, so it's just the ego of this woman. And then the last thing I will add in is that then again she takes away from Harry again, where she puts on her Instagram, and again I will reiterate, I see this in the media, I don't go on hers, and she then puts out this Ukrainian bread that apparently Harry had given to them. Now, I sat with this one because I thought, okay, I do not believe those two are together. And what's weird is, so Harry was given some bread in Ukraine, but he chose to bring it all the way home. I just don't buy it. Firstly, surely going through customs would be difficult with something like that, or does he get specialist treatment? But also, surely it wouldn't particularly be very fresh and it wouldn't make the journey. So what I'm potentially guessing is that this wasn't the bread, or it was shipped over to her. It wasn't actually given to Harry. Because and also as well, it's just, none of this makes sense to me. So it was either shipped or she bought it from the company. But what again angers me the most is that this letter was written and it uses the titles HRH. They were told they were not to use the titles. And I'm sorry, but I'm just really getting fed up with this now, because she was told that they were both told they were not allowed to use the titles to merch. She's doing this. They were told they were not to have Sussex Royal. They're doing this. Meghan, a narcissist will test things. They will test boundaries. So unless something has gone on behind the scenes where the royal family have stepped in and said, no, you're not allowed to be using this. Because what I think, she's dabbling. She's putting things out there to annoy the royal family, but also to test the waters. Because the media did pick up on this, and I put the article here. So they did pick up on it, but I want to know why the royal family are not stepping in, and if they are they maybe doing it behind the scenes? Because obviously we know they're not going to put a public statement out saying that, and refute what they're saying. So it's very possible that they have said you need to, you're not allowed to use HRH. Those titles have been put in abeyance, and all right, this letter was written, but the fact is she put it out publicly. She knows that they're not allowed to use HRH. I do find it interesting that in the letter they call her Meghan Markle, not Meghan nothing. Sorry, very childish. But still, they're not HRH, and they're not working royals. But she feels the need. I think she pokes the bear, but she also puts things out to test to see if she can get away with it. And if they've let her get away with this, then I absolutely can tell you now, we will start to see. That's how we'll know. If they've said nothing and they've got away with it, we will start to see HRH being used. She will introduce this into things. If behind the scenes they've put a stop to it, then we won't see it again. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But this is what narcissists will do. They will test the waters. They will poke the bear to see the reaction. And if there's no reaction, they will continue doing it. Then after a while, they will then realise they're not getting the attention they crave. So then they'll turn their attentions to other things, or it will start to become malicious. That's when a smear campaign can start. So it'll be interesting to see where we go with her from here. But this is just, yeah, it's every day. I mean, I know this is frustrating for all of you, but I do really feel that we're starting to see how much she's unraveling and the desperation that she has to be seen as someone so credible when she's not. Watch the behaviour with somebody. I've always said this. If you want to learn about somebody, it's not about what they say. It's not about how the facade that they can put on camera. It's watch their actions. How do they act when they're not on show? How do they act and behave towards other people? That is how you can tell the measure of somebody. If someone is kind and they're a decent person, you will see it in their behaviour. And we are seeing, where Meghan's concerned, that she's anything but. And like I say, and she's using her podcast to now talk about herself. So I wonder what the third one will be. What will she talk about? I'm fully expecting the unaliving herself, wanting to unalive herself will come up at some point. I don't know, because so far we've had a 2 for 2 where she's taken away from the experience of somebody else and tried to make it about her. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there something that I haven't thought about that you think about? This must be so frustrating for you. It is for me. But just please make sure that you take a moment just to kind of sit with how you're feeling and reach out to somebody, and you know, don't be on your own with anything that if you're really struggling through something. Right, so thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you, as you know I do. If you'd like to support what I do here, which is my free therapy program, where I give free support to people who struggle financially, you can also click on my Instagram over there. So there's the icon there if you want to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. But also the links are all in the description box below. If you want to go across for shorter videos where I will be covering other people as well, and other situations over on my bite-sized tea, trying to just get this channel up and running at the moment. So I have focused a little bit on Harry and Meghan, but I will be, once it's established, I will be discussing other things and other people over there. For those of you who have asked about buying me something, or buying Arthur something, or the cat something, I have an Amazon wish list. You can go across and purchase something from there. The link is in the description box below. Especially for those of you who do not want to pay the exorbitant postage costs when it comes to sending something. There is a PO box there. If you want to write to me, you can do. Please utilize that. If anyone's attempted to send me something and you've not heard from me, then please email me, because I always try and thank everybody, especially if, and I keep everything as well. Yeah, so please bear that in mind. You can also super chat. You can treat me to a cuppa, which is a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. For those who I've had some people go, what's a cuppa? It's an English term. So you can also do that. You can become a member as well, and there's different tiers to becoming a member, and one of the tiers you also get a free video chat with me, or you can have a birthday message, whatever it is that you would like. I've already had a couple that asked me for birthday messages, and so I send you a little video wishing you happy birthday, and that doesn't cost you anything. That's just as a thank you for becoming a member. So yeah, so there's lots to choose from in ways if you choose to support me. But the biggest thing is, please watch, like and subscribe and share. That's it. It costs you nothing to do that. So if you are struggling, because I see some people say, I'm really sorry that I can't buy you a coffee. Please never ever apologize for looking after yourself. These are just extra things for the people, for anyone who might want to feel that they can. But the biggest thing for you guys is, it's thanks enough that you watch this video, like it, subscribe, and even share it. That is all you need. So please never ever comment and say, I'm sorry, I can't afford to do this. Please, no, I don't want you to. I want you to look after yourself first and foremost. So that's it. Sorry this video was exceptionally long. I'm sorry. I know, a lot to cover. Well, just have a great rest of the week. That's it. And I'll see you in the next video. I'm sure there'll be something else to talk about. But as always, you know it. I love you. I appreciate you. But most of all, I respect you. Take care. Bye-bye. Mwah.